Hi guys, it's Samantha, and today is October 1st, which can only mean one thing. It is time for my September wrap-up and October TBR. So I had a pretty successful reading month, I think, for September. I read a total of 6 books, which for me is quite a bit, and several of them were quite long. By several, I mean 2. And one wasn't as long. But you know what? We're just gonna go with it. It works. It was a lot for me. The first book that I finished in September was The Phantom's Dance by Lisa Howard. I did receive this book from the author in exchange for a free and honest review, which I did a review on, and I will link it down below, so I won't go too much into this book. I did like it. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It is a contemporary retelling of The Phantom of the Opera. It was a really, really interesting book. As you guys know, I don't read a lot of contemporaries, but I really enjoyed this one. It, of course, if you're familiar with The Phantom of the Opera, it's the same type of story. This young girl meets this man who's hiding his identity, promises to teach her to dance better, but she's at a dance academy. She agrees, she trusts him, but then things become extremely creepy really, really quick. And it was just a really, really engaging read. I enjoyed it. The ending had a twist I did not foresee, and it was just pretty creepy. It was a really interesting read though, and I quite enjoyed it. The next book that I finished in September was a reread, and that was a reread of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I've been rereading this series since February, and I have to admit this is the slowest I've ever gone rereading the Harry Potter series, and I don't even think I'm going to get to book 7 this month because I have a lot of other books I want to read, but that's okay. I, of course, keep this book at 5 out of 5 stars. It's one of my favorites of the Harry Potter series. I've read this one several times, so I knew what was coming. It's nothing new, and I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with the Harry Potter series and this book, so yeah, I read this. The next book that I read this month was part of the Book Hunters read-along group that I help co-moderate, and I'll link our Goodreads and Twitter page down below so you guys can go and check it out and be sure to join because we are in the middle of voting for our October book, which our theme is Neil Gaiman. Whew! Got that out really fast. Anyway, this month's genre that we chose was contemporary, and the winning book was Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, and I have to say I absolutely loved this book. I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. It was so good. I just really, really enjoyed it. It takes place in the 80s, and it's basically a coming-of-age story, I guess you could say, about these 2 boys, Aristotle and Dante, and they just kind of discover more about themselves and the people around them and their place in the world, this universe that we live in. It was beautifully written. It was written in a very lyrical fashion, which I really enjoyed. There was a lot of touching moments that got me a little bit misty-eyed, which takes a lot for me to get that way, and I just really, really, really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it if you guys haven't read this book. So Percy Jackson, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and Percy Jackson and the Last Olympians, and I enjoyed these 2 books just as much as I did the first 3. I believe I rated this one 4 out of 5, and this one 5 out of 5, or maybe they're both 5 out of 5. I can't remember, I have to look. But I really, really, really enjoyed them. I particularly really liked the last book. I thought the ending to this one was really good. And I miss Percy and Annabeth. I need to get his Blood of Olympus series, I believe it's called, because I hear that these characters do in fact come back, Percy and Annabeth. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's my assumption anyway. So I want to get those. Probably won't happen until the first of the year. The next book I finished is a graphic novel, and that graphic novel is Doctor Who: The Forgotten. It is by a number of contributors who I believe these originally appeared in Doctor Who magazine. This was really, 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 really good graphic novel. The art does change because it was done by several different illustrators over a period of time, but the artwork in here was amazing. Basically, it follows the 10th Doctor and Martha, and they're stuck in this museum that is devoted to the 10th Doctor, and he's losing his memories, and so he has to kind of regain his memories and figure out why he's there and who got them stuck there. And it was excellent. I highly recommend this if you are a Doctor Who fan. It was really, really interesting. All of the Doctors make an appearance, well, at least 1 through 10, because this book came out before 11, and of course 12, but I really, really enjoyed it. So like I said, if you're a Doctor Who fan, you're gonna love this. I gave us a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I finished in September finally was Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I absolutely love this book. I now know what people are talking about when they talk about how amazing Brandon Sanderson is. If you are a fantasy lover like I am, I highly, highly recommend this book and book series. I can't wait to get the other books. I know now that I love this series, I want to replace this one with the UK covers because I think the UK covers are really, really pretty, and I can't stand this one. I know some people like it, and that's totally cool. Just me personally, I'm not a fan of these paperback covers, especially the pink, because I'm not a pink girl. Sorry. But I really, really enjoyed this. This book, the premise basically is, what if evil won? I think, is how I would describe it. What if evil won? What would people do to get their world back? It was just really, really interesting, and there was some twists at the end that I didn't see coming. I thought the end was spectacular. It was amazing. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, and I can't wait to get the next books in the series. I'm not quite sure when that will happen because I have tons of books I want to get to on my TBR, but it will happen soon. The next 2 books I did start in the month of September, but of course I did not finish them. I will be finishing them in October. The first one was The Heir of Novron by Michael J. Sullivan. If you guys have followed my channel for a while, you will know that this is part of the Rayuri Revelation series by Michael J. Sullivan that I absolutely adore. It's one of my all-time favorite series. This is the 3rd and final installment, and I just want to reread it because he came out 2 prequel novels, but I wanted to reread the main one before I read those, and so I've been enjoying it. I missed Royce and Hadrian. I finished the second book, Rise of Empire, in August, I believe, so it was nice to get back in with Royce and Hadrian. I only got 31 pages into it before the month ended. It's a chunker, but it goes fast, I assure you. And if you guys haven't picked up the series, I keep saying this, but I highly recommend it. The series is really, really good. If you love fantasy, you're going to love this series. The next book I started in September was The Republic of Thieves by Scott Lynch. This is the 3rd book in the Gentleman Bastard series. I was able to get 118 pages into it, and I am loving it. I love Scott Lynch's writing. This is just as good as the first 2. And he continues to impress me. I just love the way that Scott Lynch writes, so I will be finishing this one in October as well. As for the rest of the books I'll be reading in October, I'm a little bit ambitious this month. I'm hoping to get through all of these. I don't know if it will quite happen. If I am on the sort of reading thing I've been on where I've been able to get through quite a bit of books, for me anyway, I think I'll be able to get to them. So of course I will be reading whatever book the book hunters end up voting for this month. It's going to be a Neil Gaiman book. I am excited to read a Neil Gaiman book because I love Neil Gaiman. I've read some of his works before and he always impresses me. I will also be joining Cater in the Creep Along, Read Along that he's hosting for October. We will be reading Asylum, so I will be starting that. I don't read too much horror, so I'm interested to read this book because I don't really read horror stories at all. I think I maybe have read one. It was A Haunting of Hill House. So I'm excited to read this one. The next book that I am going to be getting to in October is King of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. I'll be buddy reading this with Michael from Written by a Radioactive Book, and I'll link his channel down below so you guys can go and check him out. He also read Prince of Thorns, the first book in this trilogy, in the Broken Empire trilogy, and loved it, and we've both been meaning to get to the second one, so we decided that we would buddy read it and read it together this month. If you're not familiar, this is a dystopian fantasy series. It does have magical elements, but it takes place far, far, far into our future, and basically people have reverted back to living like they did in the Middle Ages. But it's a really interesting book with a book series with a really interesting main character, Jurg. I think I'm saying that right, Michael, correct me. It's kind of a jerk, but you can't help but feel empathetic with him. So it's a really interesting anti-hero character, and it is told from his perspective, which I don't typically like first-person narratives, but it fits in this book. It's one of the few times where I actually feel it's appropriate. So yes, we'll be getting to this one. Also, I'm really hoping to, in October, get to the next 2 books in the Girl in Fire and Thorns trilogy. So that would be Crown of Embers and The Bitter Kingdom by Ray Carson. If you guys saw my review, which I can link down below, I read it back in August, The Girl in Fire and Thorns. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I really, really, really loved her book. So I cannot wait to get to these next 2 books and see where the story goes from where the first one left off. The next book I am hoping to get to is Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. So I loved Throne of Glass. It was quite an engaging read. I hear they keep getting better from there, so I'm really wanting to get to Crown of Midnight this month. It'll happen. It's not that big, and the first one, Throne of Glass, didn't take me that long, so I don't imagine this will take me that long to read either. And again, with the awesome covers. I really love the covers for this book series. They're just so cool. The next book I want to get to this month is The Acts of King Arthur and His Knights by John Steinbeck. If you guys saw my September book haul, you will know this was the book I was most excited for this month. I love Arthurian legends, and I just love the fact that John Steinbeck wrote an Arthurian legend retelling. It's the only fantasy work he ever wrote, so I cannot wait to see his take on it. And it's not very big. It's only, how many pages here? 400 pages, so it's not too bad. I don't think it'll take too long, so I really want to read it, so I'm so excited to read this one. The last book that I am hoping to get to, and I should get to in October, is Outlive, the first book in the Baggers trilogy by Chad Leto. I received this book from the author in exchange for free and honest review, so I want to get to it. I did look up some of the Goodreads ratings, and it got really good ratings on Goodreads. All I know is that it's a dystopian novel. It's set way in the future, but people can fight in a gladiator games in order to earn money for their family. So this guy basically loses his job, and so in order to get food and stuff for his family, he decides to sign up for these gladiator games. So it sounds like a really interesting... Ow. I smacked myself in the face with this. Got mad skills, yo. Got mad skills. But yeah, I'm just excited to read this. I think it will be interesting. It just sounds like an interesting concept, so yes, I should be getting to this in October. I doubt I'll be getting to any more books aside from those, because that is a lot, even for me. I'm hoping I'll be able to get through all of them. We'll see, guys. I'm being very ambitious this month, and I don't typically do such big TBRs because I tend to deviate, but I've really been hankering after getting through these, so we'll see. We'll see, guys. We'll see. Alright, that was my September wrap-up and October TBR. Let me know down in the comments what you read in the month of September and what you're planning on reading in October, as well as if you have read any of these books and what your thoughts were on them. As always, guys, happy reading, and until next time, bye! 1,000 subscribers. I cannot believe it. That is so exciting. Thank you guys so much. I didn't think when I started this back in May that I would ever grow that quickly. I never thought I would